Good afternoon. My name is Wayne Boney. I'm with the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. And I'd like to welcome all of you that weren't able to be here for our 2022 induction ceremony. And we're going to talk to some of our inductees and our special award recipients today. And we hope you enjoy this show. Hi, we're here with our very first Roy Madden Top Hand Award winner, Mr. Ronnie Arrington. We're going to talk to Ronnie about receiving that award today and what it meant to him. So Ron, tell me, how was it a surprise for you today?
It was a total surprise and very humbling because you named the award after the man that I love like a brother. I mean, me and him had a lot of adventures together. I respected him as much as I do any man alive. And like I say, I spoke at his memorial whenever he passed away last year. And to receive not just the fact that I was awarded that by my constituents, yourself and Steve and the board of directors thought enough of me to present me to the award, but the fact that it was named after him just really choked me up, caught me by surprise.
Oh, and, that's good.
And I appreciate it.
I know that we put a lot of thought into who would be the very first recipient for that award, and we felt like as a board that your efforts in rodeo, while you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame for a lot of those efforts, things that you've done since then and the support that you give to the Hall of Fame were needed to be recognized in a different way. And we wanted to do that for you and felt that as a new award that may not go out every year to someone. It's special, and we're reserving that for something that the board will look for, someone who meets that high standard that Roy had and the kind of contributions that he made. And that's why we wanted to make sure that the first one went to the right person.
I appreciate that. And like I told Steve, and I'll tell you, if there's anything y'all need that I can help you with, I'm a phone call away. You just got to let me know. And because if I don't know, I can't help you. But if I know, I'll be there for you.
We appreciate that. Like I said, you've been a big supporter of the Hall of Fame since the get-go, just like you were the big supporter with the MRA, starting the association and y'all doing everything throughout military rodeo over the years from the early 80s on.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all that you've done for everything for our sport of military rodeo, and we just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate you being here with us today.
I'm just glad I could be here and do what I did.
Thank you very much. Hi, we're here with Quint Terrio, a 2022 inductee to the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. And Quint, just congratulations. We really love having you here. And
thank you.
Just tell us a little bit about what does it feel like to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, it's overwhelming, really overwhelming. Also being inducted with my partner and friend, travel partner, Bill Brown, in the same category is just amazing. It's just amazing. I haven't seen him in 40 years or better. And to be inducted, and we're just kids out having fun, in the Marine Corps, and to be coming into something like this it's just overwhelming.
Jay, I think it was emotional for a lot of people in there during the ceremony today, where we had folks just, as you said, you're reliving memories that, are bringing up things from 40 years ago. And it was a lot of fun memories. We all have those great rodeo memories.
I was talking with Bill, and like I told him, I said, being on the same team, this is the first buckle we ever got we never had to fight over. And that's just kind of the way it was. We were great friends, and it was all fun.
So just as you look back on your rodeo career, what part of your rodeo career do you think stood out to the selection committee and made them think that Quint needed to go into the Hall of Fame?
To be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't pick out any one thing. I think the idea of being an all-around cowboy and doing all those different events and going from one end of the arena to the other, every rodeo you go to, I think that stands out more than anything.
Well, you worked and competed in a lot of rodeos and a lot of events, but tell me, what is your favorite military rodeo story? That's clean enough to tell on public TV.
Probably is Twin Palms, California, my last rodeo in the military. I don't know what happened. The good Lord shined on me, and I was winning everything, and I don't know why and how come, but I drew the good stock. And in order to beat Bill Brown for the all-around, you had to outdraw him because you weren't going to outride him. So just that day, it just happened to click.
Good. So if you were to give some advice to younger service members right now that are out there trying to rodeo and serve their country, what would you tell them?
Well, I think the main thing that I would tell them is the same mindset of why they're in the military, that confidence and that same mindset. It works the exact same in rodeo. If you're not confident in your abilities, like the Marine Corps instilled in all of us, that you're not going to go very far. So you can use that same mindset in rodeo and in your military career. Stay positive and go do what you want to do.
So just any final thoughts on the Hall of Fame in general and military rodeo that you'd like to...
I would really like to see this grow into a much bigger program. There are many cowboys and cowgirls out there that need to be inducted. I'm so fortunate to be one. And I think there's a lot more of them out there that would feel just as fortunate.
We're definitely searching high and low to find them, and if folks will make those nominations, which you just download the application form off of our website,
Exactly.
And they can make those nominations happen. And if anybody's ever got questions about how to work that process, we're always there. Just a phone call or an email away to make that happen for them. So,
Right.
For sure. So, Quint, thank you very much.
Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate it. Thank you. So I'm here with Philip Poindexter. He is representing the European Rodeo Cowboys Association members with the acceptance of the induction for Alan Jacob. And welcome to our show. Just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for what you did to start the nomination process for Alan and get that in. And just tell us a little bit about, what does it feel like for you to be a part of this process of getting Alan into the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame?
Well, Wayne, like we discussed previously, it's a great honor to do this, because knowing in the European Rodeo Association, there were so many airmen, soldiers, family members, DOD civilians, and German nationals, European nationals that participated. At first, I was reluctant to do this because I didn't feel I had to. There's a whole lot of other people out here could be doing what I was doing, but I knew Alan deserved it because of the vision he had. In almost 40 years worth of rodeo in Europe, he affected so many lives, and so I knew I had to go through with it after our discussions and trying to find somebody to get me out of it and trying to find his family member, which I'm still trying to do today. But it is a great honor.
Well, we appreciate the work that you've done on this, and I know there are a lot of folks that will continue to search for to make sure that these awards are protected by somebody that they mean a lot to. And if we can ever find those family members, we'll certainly reach out to that. So just as your own self, as a contestant, you competed in the ERCA back in the day, and So what was it like being a rodeo contestant in Europe versus in the United States?
Well, Wayne, I started out I come from a long background of horsemen and cattlemen and ranchers, and I worked on ranches and many times as a young man. And so I was familiar with uncles that had jackpot ropings, and they rodeoed too in the 60s and 70s. So I dabbled in it a little bit in high school, but never, my goal was joining the military. So when I joined the military and went off and ended up in Europe, and how you become associated with people in the military, and you end up in that little clique, and they say, "Hey, how you doing? Where you from?" "Oklahoma." "Well, we got rodeos here in Germany. What do you think about going to see a rodeo?" And I was like, "You have rodeos in Germany?" So in Europe, you come into you get your little cliques, your little factions, and then you get together. And so when I found out there was a rodeo in Europe, I was like, "Wow, let's go check this out." So when my first rodeo I come in contact with, it was at the Otterberg Ranch in Germany, and so it's like showing up at a regular ranch with a whole bunch of cars in the field with a breakdown arena, and I'm like, "Wow, where's all this?" And I'm seeing this guy barking words, and he's barking, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And somebody said, "That's the stock contractor. He's an old retired sergeant major." I was like, "Really?" I said, "That's something else." So that was my first impression of Alan. He was like an orchestrator. He was like an old sergeant major, barking and just going about it. And so I didn't ride that time. I just checked it out because I didn't have no rigging or this and that. But come to find out, in Europe, nobody else did neither. And so we all pretty much shared everything. And so unless you bought one and got it shipped over there, you're pretty much sharing it. And as that evolved, I rode bareback and I rode wild horse race. And you really didn't have time to do it like a full-time profession or something like you would in a real rodeo in here, but it was kind of like a weekend deal where you like going to a rodeo this weekend because you had time off to go do it in the military. So it was more like a morale and a boost from being away from all the way across the pond from your families, because your brothers in arms and sisters in arms and the family members there became like your family away from home. And then when I was injured over there by an old horse named Brush King that broke my jaw, Alan's the one that put me in the ambulance. Alan's the one that sent me to a German hospital. Alan's the one that laughed at me when I got back to the rodeo with the stitches and my jaw was still broke. And then after I ended up on convalescent leave, and I was like, "Hey, Alan, you need help?" He took me in for 4 months, and I lived at his ranch, helped him set up the arenas, feed the stock, and we did 2 or 3 rodeos away from the ranch. And then the Cold War, the wall fell in Germany, and then the life got a little different, and I moved on, and that's what it was like in Germany for me.
It's just a world of difference over there as to what we have different rules that we have to play by
Yes.
when we're rodeoing over there. A lot of different adjustments we have to make about spur rules and different things to can't use these things, can't use that, to comply with the local laws and everything. So it's definitely a different world on that.
It was that I remember that's one of the things that Alan would be honest was making sure that our rowels were taped up, making sure there's different things. Just like, we did breakaway calf roping and not full tie down. There was a little bit of difference in the German community of the way of they viewed the stock and how the stock was treated. But also I noticed one thing that I was impressed about Alan is how he took care of his stock. He took care of his stock and was very particular how us participants treated his stock, because not only was it hard, you just couldn't go from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma and go to 2 or 3 ranches and pick up some stock, or from Arizona you couldn't go get stock, because the only stock he could get was the ones he used day in and day out, and you had to go all the way across to the United States to bring that stock. So that's one reason, and also with the European partners at the time, in the way they view rodeo. They love the rodeo, but there is some different things in their community that rodeo is a little different in the United States than it is there.
Well, Philip, we just appreciate all that you're doing for the Hall of Fame and for Alan and the European Rodeo Cowboys Association, and just want to say thank you for being here with us today, and to do that, and thank you very much.
And thank you very much for helping us through the process, and I hope to see more ERCA people from my past come through this process and support this organization, and thank you very much. You have a blessed day, Wayne.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm here with Steve Stolfus, 2022 Hall of Fame inductee for the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. Steve, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. So tell me, what does it feel like to be an inductee to the Hall of Fame?
Extremely humbling, especially look at the other individuals that are put into this before me. I mean, look at Alan today. It's you look at what they've done, what they have accomplished. To be able to put in that same category, it is very, very humbling.
So, when you look back over your military career, what do you think it was that stood out to the selection committee that caused them to say, Steve Stolfus needs to be one of the ones we put in the Hall of Fame this year?
I know back in the day I was pushing schools a lot. I was pushing safety, I was pushing team competition. I was trying to do what we can to get guys down the road. I was trying to increase our caliber of cowboys and increase our caliber of contestants, but at the same time keep them from getting hurt. Back then it was always pushback from our commands to keep, they were saying, oh my gosh, injuries. It's like, look at your football, look at your other teams you got going on. So I was always that squeaky wheel. Go to a school, go learn your trade. Once you do that, you're going to start making money and you're going to start actually being competitive. So
I know that was one of the things that I had to do in the Air Force. It was really frowned upon. We actually had some rules that said you couldn't participate in hazardous sports. And to get away from that, I had to personally talk to my commander and guarantee him that there was going to be a couple things that would always happen every year. One, I would go to a school so that I stayed fresh on my skill training. Two, I would always show up at work on Monday morning. No matter what,
that helps.
I was going to be at work on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I had to pay a price for that, to be there on that Monday morning. But that was my commitment to him, and he did not care after that. He knew that I was going to be out there being a recruiter for him. And so I understand that as a former military contestant, that it was really big to have that training and to do that. So and for full disclosure to those that are going to be watching this, Steve and I have known each other since 1991 when he loaned me his bareback rigging for the first military rodeo I attended. And so since then we've worked on different boards together with the MRCA, with the Hall of Fame now, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the years and done a lot of work together. So you've competed in a lot of military rodeos over the years. So Steve, tell me, what is your favorite military rodeo story?
Probably the best one I like was San Diego Sports Arena. Just got done with a decent ride. It turned out to be the winning ride, and I'm still trying to knock the cobwebs off, getting off the horse. And I was never keen on getting off on the pickup man, but I managed to get off on the pickup man on that one. I came sliding to a halt, and the dust was just clearing. And here comes Scott and Rosser come riding across the arena, and I see him from the other end of the arena, taking a bottle of Gentleman Jack and chucking that thing way up into the arena, up into the air. And I'm sitting there watching this thing coming down, and it's like, I'm thinking to the 8,000 people that are in the arena. It was a very nice crowd that night. It's like, if I miss this thing, I'm going to be the biggest turd. And I'll be known for that guy that missed that catch. That thing landed right in my hands. It was a perfect throw by Cotton. As soon as I caught that, I swear I was Tom Brady catching throwing a touchdown pass, and the crowd just lost their mind. And it was like, they didn't even care about the fact that I rode a horse. They were more concerned about me catching that bottle. But that was Cotton's way of doing things, and it was. And then, of course, after that, he's racing me off the arena and says, "Hey, get on this horse, And okay, we had to do this victory lap around the arena, and I don't know this horse from Adam. And next thing you know, it's racing around the arena. It was all I could do to keep from falling off of that dang thing. The stirrups weren't my size, and it's like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna win that, but I'm gonna fall off this horse. Yeah, that was a great show, and it was a big show for the MRCA too.
Cotton was a huge supporter for the MRCA, and it's one of the reasons he went into the Hall of Fame in 2019 with us. Without a doubt, some of our best rodeos probably were put on by Cotton Rosser. So that was really good. You're getting the chance now in your civilian job working for the company you do to live in Italy and travel around Europe and to rehash and get to look at some of the results of what happened when the European Rodeo Cowboys Association was going over there, and to even look at the possibility of reestablishing some of that and getting some rodeos going over there. What are you learning when you're out and about traveling and looking at all that?
Well, I've learned American rodeo is definitely alive and well in Europe. We had the pandemic, and it obviously shut down the whole planet. But my wife and I was fortunate enough to go see one of their rodeos that they were putting on in France, and it was their first show they had done in 2 years. And it was their first show, and it was a little rickety at first, knocking the dust off. But the following performance, they came out and they knocked it out of the park, and the crowd was strong. Watching the Stars and Stripes running through the arena, watching the contestants, all foreign nationals. There's no Americans amongst them at all, and great contestants. I mean, they love the sport. They never dropped off of what Alan started, and it's really cool seeing the Indian demonstrations and everything else that they try to portray, and they portray it fairly accurate. I was out there actually looking for American contestants, see if there's any soldiers that might be out there operating. I've talked to the contractors out there, and they said that they'd remember seeing one or two that might still be operating, but it'd be great. But the problem is the downsizing of what we had done in the past. There's not that many soldiers in Europe anymore to support an association, but now with Ukraine and everything else that's going on, and very large footprint of American soldiers and NATO soldiers back in on the continent, there's a potential, but it's going to take some work. It's going to take someone that's actually there in Germany or in Belgium or in one of the local bases to actually take the lead on it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different world than the 90s when you were competing actively, and our force was a lot larger. We had a lot larger presence in Europe, so definitely a lot different now than it was then. So, but so tell me, just part of your Hall of Fame career was winning the '91 bareback title for the MRCA. Tell me a little bit about that finals and how you came away with that buckle. Because you did not go into the finals with the lead in the bareback riding. You were behind Greg Richens, who was another Hall of Fame inductee last year. So he had a pretty sizable lead on a lot of folks, but you were able to track him down. That's
one of them deals where he had a lot of bad luck at the wrong time, and I had a lot of good luck at the right time. It was a fun pen of horses. To be honest with you, it's still kind of blurry. There's been a few concussions between there and then, but it was. I didn't come across with the average at the end, and I know that's what I was really pushing for, was that saddle. But it was. There was a lot of trying. There was a lot about just kind of letting it all hang out, trying to get the most out of those horses as you could. And like I say, when Greg, his misfortune led to my fortune, and if you don't capitalize on that and be able to put your head in the right spot and make it happen, it's. Yeah, Greg and me had a real good season that year. We were chasing each other all over the country. Hey, you going to that show? Dang, okay, I'm going to that show too. Nope, I'm not going to that show. Okay, I'm definitely going to that show then. I mean, it was all about a chess match as to where we were going to be, and that was a fun season. And
good, yeah. That was the first military rodeo I saw, was that finals in Southern California there in Palm Springs, and incited me to pick it all back up again. So it was fun watching from the stands that day too. So just any final thoughts about the Hall of Fame and what's going on with that?
I am excited to stay involved in this. I know I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage being in Italy, but fortunately technology allows me to still be able to stay involved, and also helps enter the debate as to the direction we're going to go with the Hall of Fame. The architecture that we have it set up under there, I think, is impressive. I think it's honest. I think it really allows the system to work to where we're getting the right guys in. And like Steve had said earlier today, that there's a lot of people out there that there's definitely some low-hanging fruit out there that we need to get picked up and get them on there. It wouldn't take much to get them in there at all. But one, it's critical that we get the nominations in. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of experiences out there that isn't known by everybody, and they need to get them on paper and get it to where we can take this, to the next level. I think we've got a strong foundation. I think the guys that are on the board now are impressive. They come from all different points of the globe, and I think it's well represented. I think the people's I think their minds are in the right spot and their hearts are in the right spot. So, like I said today, with the armed forces and rodeo, two great American traditions. I mean, that's having our background with the military and understanding our brotherhood in arms, and understanding what goes on in the world. And you see all these guys writing history, or are part of writing history through their blood and their sweat and tears, and then combining that with those of great American traditions that this country is founded upon, seeing them come together and then be part of that Hall of Fame. I can't think of a better Hall of Fame to be part of. We might be small, we might be compact, but that's the best part, is being small and compact. Is the ones that get in there are the ones that you're really wanting to pay attention to.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you, and once again, congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm here with William Billy Brown, the 2022 inductee to the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. And Billy, congratulations on your induction today. We just wanted to take a few moments to just talk to you about that. And so, how does it feel to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Rodeoing for the Marine Corps was such a pleasure, and today meeting everybody, seeing everybody again, I can't even say. I don't have the words, but it's very special. Thank you so much.
Well, we were talking with Quint Terrio, one of your inductee buddies today, and he mentioned that it was the first time he had gotten a buckle that he didn't have to fight you over.
I know he said that, but honestly, I sometimes if he'd win, I felt like I was winning. So he was the best partner I remember forever.
So you had a different background than a lot of our
Yes,
guys
sir.
that have done the military rodeo. You were raised for a large part of your life south of the border in Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And your father was involved in as a Western author and doing stunt work and things. So tell me a little bit about how did that play into eventually getting you interested in rodeo?
Honestly, when I signed up for the Marine Corps, I was playing pro baseball to Mexico in Mexico. When I came out, because I couldn't play as an American, I didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad had a recruiter at my house, and the recruiter said, if you're good enough, after boot camp, you can play baseball for the Marine Corps team. And so I said, where do I sign? I was pretty much raised a Marine with my dad. But that's when I met Roy Madden, when I found out there was no such thing as baseball in the Marine Corps. And I met Roy Madden at the stables, and I just would go up there and smell horses, honestly. And all of a sudden, when I did meet him, he saw me. I ran in one day when a little girl was having trouble with her horse. Roy wasn't there yet, but I kind of ran up to the horse, saved the horse from dragging the little girl, and that's when Roy and I met. So he asked me, he says, do you know horses? And I said, well, sir, my dad claims that I never had a babysitter, and a horse was my babysitter. They were my best friends. Being raised in Mexico, I fought a lot. Not that I wanted to, but everybody wanted to with me. And the horses and my dogs were my best friends. I didn't break horses. I used to tell people I made friends with horses. They made me feel good. So yes, I'd love to ride one of your horses. So little by little, second, third day I came up there, Roy says, we're having a rodeo. So where do I sign? I entered bareback and bulls. So that's long story short. Roy was my mentor. He told me about Bob Blackwood's schools, and all of a sudden I could do my Marine Corps stuff easier, and I had the opportunity to go and be with something I loved, and I loved rodeos. The competition wasn't the competition. It was the people I met. And like I said earlier, Roy said just learn to mark them out and pretend you're 30 miles from home and you don't want to walk home. So, and it's all really Roy.
That was some good advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good advice. So after you left the military, I mean, you had a great military rodeo career while you were there at 29 Palms, and you left the military and you went on to, as we say, become a Hollywood star. So you were doing a lot of stunt work in a lot of movies, and
I doubled Steve McQueen my first time, and I met Paul Newman when he published and played Dad's part in Pocket Money. So I met Paul Newman and Lee Marvin, my first two actors. And I think I was 13, really didn't speak English very well yet, but then after that came Ben Johnson, Richard Farnsworth, so all the rodeo cowboys, and they were rodeo cowboys too, though, became stars. I never really I loved what I did, but they said be an actor. I wanted to do the action. And sometimes I didn't like how actors acted, so I didn't want to be stuck there, but it all goes back to the rodeo.
So I have to tell you, I mean, the stuntmen in the westerns and stuff obviously have to be skilled at doing
Yes,
certain
sir.
kinds of things. You can be another kind of stuntman and do falls from tall buildings and things like that in other action type movies. But to be a cowboy stuntman, you've got to be able to ride those horses, and you got to be familiar with the action that's going on. With all
Absolutely.
that.
In the old days, it's all the rodeo cowboys. That's pretty much, they all ended up, the great ones. And so Ben Johnson, I remember when I first met him, he says, that's how I started.
So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about Ben Johnson, another great, rodeo cowboy that had a very successful career in acting and was very successful in the rodeo arena too. So.
Yeah, he had a world champion buckle and an Oscar, so he's the only cowboy that's done that. So
Yeah.
he's a great friend.
Yep. You competed in a lot of military rodeos over the years during your time in the military. What was your favorite military rodeo story?
Oh boy, oh man, it's a couple of times. They're all special, but I remember Cotton Roster one time said, "Who drew this bull? His Velvet Mouse." And I kind of looked up, and I did, sir. He said, "You might as well just go home." He kept calling me son. So kind of made me a little upset, and everybody talked about that bull. And when I covered him, well, he came up to me and he says, "I'll never call you son." And he became my friend, and I made friends in the rodeo. Instead of, I don't know, a lot of people, they kind of think they're better than everybody, and it helped me make friends with people. So every rodeo is special. I never feel like I had a bad day. And entering all the events, I remember thinking, I have to stay, I paid my entry fee. My bull's not until Sunday. I have a saddle bronc tomorrow. If I get hurt on this bareback horse, I won't be able to ride. So I trained real hard. And thanks to Roy, he brought a bucket machine, mechanical, they called it a mechanical bull.
Right.
And I trained. I went to Bob Blackwood School to make sure I had the best equipment. So I didn't party and go out and be next day all stoved up. Every rodeo cowboy, people think they drink. Well, I tried to not. And it was special to me. It was real special.
Yeah, it really is. So, just kind of a final thoughts about today's events and this Hall of Fame weekend. Just tell me, just kind of what it's the ultimate meaning for you is on all of this, and just kind of how you view this whole weekend.
I'm honored. It's the most special thing that's happened for a long time, and I'm so grateful. And it was an honor, and meeting you and seeing Steve again. He kind of used to get out of hand a little bit, but I love them all, and seeing my best friend that I hadn't seen in 50 years, and it just makes my heart feel great. And I thank you, and it was an honor.
Well, we appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you, sir.
And once again, congratulations on your induction, and thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us.
I'd like to be involved with this more, and
We're happy to have you involved.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. All right, hi. I'm Wayne Boney, and I'm here with Jason Scott, the 2022 Hall of Fame inductee with the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. And Jason, welcome to the show, and just congratulations on your induction. And just want to say, welcome to the Hall of Fame, and tell me, what does it feel like that you've been selected for the Hall of Fame?
Well, it's a complete honor and humbling, I guess you could say. unexpected. You know, in my time in travel, I'd never really looked at what I had accomplished or done as a whole as compared to, you know, hey, I won that rodeo, or hey, I've been to that show, or I rode that bull, or been on that horse. It's just all a kind of an eye-opener and an honor.
So you, you served in the Navy as a
Yes, sir.
sonar technician on the Vandergriff, and I know you and I share a piece of video history from the Sacramento Rodeo in '95, where they were doing some news interviews, and they interviewed both of us on that. So that was one of the rodeos that we shared and competed against each other at.
Yes, sir. That was a different experience for me. You know, first time I'd been on bareback or saddle bronc was at that rodeo, and I figured out real quick that you don't use somebody's saddle that's 10 times bigger than you to try to ride a saddle bronc horse.
Equipment selection is always important.
Yes, sir. Knowledge goes a long way, and I didn't have any really at that time.
You were pretty green coming into. You didn't really have a rodeo background when you first joined the military.
No, sir. I had talked about going and getting on, and I showed up with some rope and spurs one day and going to get on bulls, and fortunately I think I was too late to enter. Otherwise it would have been probably a pretty big mistake at that time. Since then, you know, a young lady talked me into getting on a bull out in California, and I didn't have any way to say no. I'd been trying to catch her eye for a while.
Yes, that's one way to get a start, right?
Yes, sir.
So you had a really fast 2-year run, because your time in the Navy was limited, and by the time you finished training and hit in '95 to find rodeo with us, you were just there a short time, but you accomplished a lot in that short time. What was your favorite military rodeo story?
Favorite military rodeo story would probably have been when in Clovis, New Mexico, when there were only 2 people that had ridden a bull, and Farrell Skelton was the second guy and myself, and he made the comment in front of Jules, who was the secretary, about, boy, I hope everybody falls off tomorrow. And I said, you know, I hope everybody rides. They just don't do quite as well as we did. And he never could understand my way of thinking about it. But, you know, that made an instant bond between Jules and I. She's like, wow, he's really looking at things the right way, and he wants everybody to do good, not just himself. And it helped. I always tried to help people along the way.
That's one of those things about the sport of rodeo, I think, that when you look at the history of rodeo, the athletes, while we may be competing against each other in some ways, it's still an opportunity for us to wish well for someone else, and be willing to reach out and help them in any way that we can.
Yes, sir.
I know you've experienced that in your career, where you didn't have something that you needed, or luggage gets lost and that kind of thing, and you've still got to compete.
Yes, sir. You know, the camaraderie in the military rodeos a lot stronger than it ever was for me in the PRCA, because you still run across all the same people at a lot of the different rodeos, but I was bouncing back and forth coast to coast. But in the military, you would end up bouncing around, but you'd still end up seeing the same people, and if one person had a problem, that meant everybody had a problem, or they'd all come to one solution for it. Mm-hmm. It was all, you know, a great experience that you can't describe or replace.
Yeah. It is a special bond in the military rodeo. We all experienced that, and so just out of curiosity, when you look at your military rodeo career and you look at all that, what part of that do you think stood out to the selection committee when they were reviewing the nomination package that said, you know what, Jason Scott needs to be in the Hall of Fame?
I think probably one of the biggest factors was the fact that I never rodeoed until I entered the military rodeo. You know, at that time I had probably been on 16 or 18 bulls. I entered the first rodeo in San Diego for the 95 season and ended up taking a check home. Next newsletter came out and I said, hey, wow, I'm in the top 10. I guess I'll try to stay in the top 10 the rest of the season. Unfortunately, I missed 5 rodeos that season because I didn't know about it. They had a buckle series at Pee Wee Sherman's place, and I just didn't know about it, so I only made 2 of them that I found out about. I had a rival, so to speak, going through there, and that was Sonny James. He was in first place all the way until Sacramento. I passed him at Sacramento and then managed to ride all my animals at the finals. I didn't draw very good most of the year, so nobody gave me any credit for being able to ride. They just knew I could stay on one. And then when 96 started, I won the first rodeo of the year on the best bull I'd been on in the circuit, and they were like, wow, all the Marine guys that, you know, I was the outcast. I wasn't Air Force or Marines. I was in the Navy, so I had something to prove, I guess, to be accepted at their level. And right after that rodeo, a lot of people were like, oh, hey, why don't you come ride with us? Hey, let's go here, let's go there. And by that time, I had already started figuring out a little bit of what I was supposed to be doing, and I said, well, yeah, it'd be nice to have somebody to travel with and to move down the road. And from then we just grew stronger friendships through all the branches, really.
I experienced that as a lone Air Force body in Southern California there when you and I were competing against each other. The team concept that was available on those Marine Corps bases, those guys were pretty close on their teams, and you coming from the Vandergrift, me coming from Norton Air Force Base, we were kind of on our own. We were kind of free agents out there doing this, and we didn't quite have that same team environment. And I know after doing some things in '92 and winning the all-around, they reached out to me from El Toro and asked me to actually be a part of their team.
Wow.
And so it was like, okay, now I get to go be a part of this rodeo team that and learn more about the Marines, because then I was around Marines all the time and stuff. So, yes. So there was always different ways, though, how we got accepted into different things along the way. And if you were talking to a young serviceman right now about their service and wanting to rodeo, what would you tell them?
I would highly suggest that they get into it as fast as they can, because the faster you get into it, the more you can learn, the easier different things come along. It's a lot harder for some than others to figure out what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong, or to figure out, hey, I may even be in the wrong vehicle going down the road, because you don't always have the same goals in mind.
Yeah, choosing the right traveling partners is key. It's a pretty brutal sport to begin with, and you need the right mindsets in the truck with you to go down the road, or it can affect everything that you do, for sure.
Yes, sir. I wound up in a house in California, and we had 9 different rodeo contestants who lived in that house. And one of them who's no longer with us was probably my biggest supporting person. You know, my biggest, hey man, you need to do this, great job, do this. And
Who was
that
it?
was Chuck Buckman.
Chuck Button. Okay.
Yes, sir. He participated in the bull riding and the shoot dogging, and he was a little bigger than what should have been in the bull riding, and he was headstrong enough that shoot dogs didn't bother him at all. But he had all the heart in the world and all the try anybody could ask for. Just, you know, you can't have a sumo wrestler doing ballet. It was
A little more difficult.
he wasn't that big, but he knew all the mechanics and the right way to do it. He just wasn't built to execute it. But as far as a person goes, you'll never find a better person.
Good. So, just thinking over this weekend and what you've been able to experience, any final thoughts about military rodeo and the Hall of Fame?
Like I said, it's a huge honor to be nominated, much less inducted. You know, it's crazy. You know, you're like, I've never thought about, you know, well, what all have I done? And then you started reading the list about it, and I was, you know, I guess that does sound a little impressive, and I've never really looked at it that way. I'm like, well, I just got to go get on the next one. Never looked back at what I had done. You know, walking away from good sponsorships to different things, thinking, oh, well, you know, kind of like that first rodeo, I don't know if I'm good enough to rodeo. But as far as the whole get-together in the Military Rodeo Association, it's something that really needs growth. You know, the more people see it, the more people hear about it, the greater it can be. Mm-hmm. You know, a huge stepping stone into further careers.
Yeah. Well, that's very true, very true. So, just want to say, Jason, you know, it was a pleasure competing against you over the years, and it's a pleasure to have you as a fellow inductee in the Hall of Fame, and just congratulations. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the honor.
Hi, I'm Wayne Boney, and I'm here with Scott Mendes, 1997 World Champion Bull Rider, 2022 Bull Riding Hall of Fame inductee. You've got your own ministry and a media company now that you're running. You just a ton of success in your life. God has blessed you in many, many ways, and we're just thankful. I wanted to take a minute and sit down with you while we're here at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. You were able to be a participant in that event today, and just tell us a little bit about what it meant to you to be a part of that today.
Well, thank you very much, Wayne. I'll tell you, you know, I wasn't inducted today, obviously, but my emotions were just the same. And I really believe that that's what others need to see about this organization. When you start talking about armed services and veterans and the freedom of this country and the sacrifice that they make and their selfishness to not have selfishness but to put their country first, and then the blessing would be the men that competed in rodeo. And my family, the Mendes family, has been rich in military. My father may have been maybe one of the only Mendeses and myself that didn't join the military, but my grandfather in the 40s was not only a gold card turtle, became a gold card, but he was an original turtle, and flew in B-17s in the War II. My uncle passed away as a captain in the National Guard, and then today my son. And so with the history of the family, I realized that God is doing some amazing things, and to have the men that were honored today to go into a Hall of Fame, to have their legacy enshrined in history was a blessing. I opened up in prayer and got to share a few minutes, but at the end of the day, our country is as strong as its people, and the people that I was associated with, your board of directors, are incredible men, and more people need to learn about this association.
Well, thank you. We have just been blessed to have you with us. It has been so much fun to over the last couple of months when you reached out to us and introduced yourself and said that you were willing to help. Those are the kind of phone calls that we as an association or an organization just love to get. That somebody called up and said, "Hey, what can I do to help?" Yeah. And that was leading to we're sitting here now, and it feels like I've known you forever. And it's just been a few phone calls and a couple of days here, just hanging out and doing all this. And obviously, we appreciate everything that you've done for us and everything. So, what do you think that people out there should know about the military and rodeo, that we have this association, not only the Hall of Fame organization, but we also have an active Military Rodeo Cowboys Association for our active duty and veterans that are out there. That how do we get the word out there that so that those folks will know that we're there?
Sure. I think the key thing, it's in your mission statement. It's carrying on the tradition. There's young men out there that are courageously serving the country. Some of them may have came from a ranching or livestock background or farming, and they may or may not know about it. But if we can go to the grassroots and educate and market and have that opportunity, as you are with your rodeos, for those guys that just aren't out on tour, to compete and to be a part of it and to be associated with that emblem, the logo, the branding of what you're trying to do, to put on rodeos for young people that are serving, and then having the older generation, the guys that have already been inducted or serving on the board, to be able to put on rodeos and be with them. I think there's a lot of rich history, and it really just is an educational deal. So all media forms, as you know, I'm working in the film industry today. I'm also heavily involved in the technical advancement of globally distributing rodeo. And so that could be your rodeo, it could be our pro rodeos, whatever that may be. There's vehicles that God has blessed with technology that can help us to quickly reach the fan base and develop more fans of the sport. By doing that, they already love this country. We're just connecting the dots between rodeo and the armed services and the technology in the future, and it'll be a great thing.
Yeah, that's great. I just I look and I get so excited sometimes when I talk to somebody like yourself, where we come together and we start talking about the possibilities that are just so endless of what we can do, and having that kind of attitude about it. And as I was just speaking with one of our inductees, Jason Scott, a while ago, you talked about choosing your traveling partners and the people that you're around, that how certain ones were just so energetic and so positive about everything, and kept you focused on that you can do a lot of things and you can really do that. And that's we get into the daily grind, and I know you probably feel this in all the efforts that you're involved in, where you're just feeling like you're just so bogged down with the daily grind of everything that's going on, that you kind of lose a little bit of that excitement, because it's just, I got to slog through this today and get it done. So having your enthusiasm around is just contagious around here. We've really enjoyed that.
Well, I would like to say that enthusiasm comes from my relationship with the Lord. God had a relationship and a covenant with this country. And with this country, he has a covenant with the soldiers that protect it. And I believe that it's important that we remember who we are, whose we are, And rodeo and the military just go together. I believe that with the blessing of God over this country and the people doing their part that serve and educating one another, the country can be great again. But we have a lot of work to do. And the American cowboy is a no-nonsense guy. They believe what they believe, they work hard, and that's what the country needs today. And so your organization hits the nerve of several things that America needs. So I would say continue what you're doing, and we're just blessed to volunteer and to be a part of that.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for all you've done for us, and thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. God bless you. Hi, I'm Scott Mendes, former world champion bull rider, and what a blessing it is to be with you today. I was so honored to be attending today the 2022 Military Rodeo Cowboy Association Hall of Fame inductions. With me right now at this moment is the board of directors, and these guys that I am with right now were responsible for not only starting the organization but helping to move it forward even to the point of where we are today in 2022. So having said that, I'd like to just open up with some questions. Wayne, coming to you, I believe you're the secretary, and we've all got positions here on the board, but let's talk about how the organization got started and move us up to where we are today.
Well, I'm going to actually defer that question to Steve, our president, because Steve and Freddie, our vice president, are responsible for all of this kicking off. It started out, a joke we've made, it started out as a backyard barbecue, and then we changed it along the way and made it into something different. And so, Steve, why don't you give some of that history?
Well, the way we started this thing was I did a MRCA reunion out in Topeka, Kansas. And Freddie had come out, and a couple other people had come out. And we got back from that, and I received a call from Adam and Wayne to be on the board of the MRCA. And I started thinking, and the next morning I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm calling Freddie and see what he thinks about starting a Military Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. And Freddie and me chatted for a few hours on that, and I even called Roy Madden and got his advice because he's a mentor of mine and he always gave me advice. And then me and Freddie were talking about, well, we need more board members. And I said, well, I know where I can come up with 2 if they'll do it. And so I called Wayne and I called Adam, and they're a little hesitant at the time. I don't know the whole specifics of it, and I got a call back from them, and they went, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And Wayne said, well, we need another board member at the time, and he says, I know where one's at, and I don't know what rock he dug him out of, but it was Steve Stokes. And that's how it all got started. And we did our first one in Topeka, Kansas, 2018.
Wow.
We missed 1 year because of COVID. This would have been our 5th anniversary. If it wasn't for COVID. It would have been our 5th year of doing it.
Right. So the question I have, I was asked earlier, what can we do? What should we do to grow the organization? You guys all serve and volunteer, I'm assuming, on a board of a nonprofit. What would you like to say to those that may not have been able to attend today at the ceremonies about the organization, where you would like to see it go?
Well, I look at it growing every year, which it has.
Yes.
And with the help of everybody here, it's going to grow more. I know it will.
Yeah.
And we look at it, our donations are 99% private donations. We do not have a company per se that donates every year big money. So we go out and we talk people and work on that. Wayne this year, Wayne sent, and I'll let Wayne handle this one because it was some ungodly amount of emails out to veterans associations to, you know, we're right now we're accepting donations, and we did get donations today. We did. I don't know what you ended up with.
We did get a few donations from folks that wanted to donate here during the event. But it's with any nonprofit organization that relies on those donations, as you know, with things that you do. You know, with the economy being where it is, it's difficult to find folks that want to put that money in the plate and say we'll support you, whether it's for a few dollars or for a large sum. Thankfully, this year, and we always give Adam a lot of credit because he has been our main fundraiser, and I'm worried about some of his friendships right now because the way he has squeezed some of them over the years, it's been rough, I think, on them. But they've come through every year.
And it's Texas oil. It gets us through. And the other thing, and nobody on this board but Wayne knows this, I actually, for the first event, I actually went down and took out a personal loan. And I didn't want you guys to really know that. But it's all paid back now, and everything's good, and we rolled from there, and that's how we basically got it off the ground.
So I would.
The 501c initiative was
Yes, sir.
And I think with more national exposure
Yeah.
and more exposure just, you know, through Facebook and podcasts, whatnot, you know, we won't have to worry too much about those donations, because I think they'll come, but we just need more exposure, I think, because I think there's a lot of veterans out there who participated in military rodeo that probably don't even know we exist. You know, because there are people who don't have internet.
Absolutely.
And that's true. And going to that point on social media, we have other pages of other groups. We have a Camp Pendleton Rodeo page that a guy had started in, and we post a lot on there. We post our events every year on there. We do through your birthday comes up on Facebook, you can donate, and you can actually see our 501c3 on there and donate. And most of us do that every year ourselves to get that little extra donation going.
Well, with just a few minutes left with our time allotted today, Adam, I'd like to go around to each director and just have you just take a couple of minutes as we close out today's program with what was the biggest impact as serving as a director that you've seen, how the organization has impacted a life. It could be yours or those that you've witnessed through the Hall of Fame or actually at a rodeo. We'll start right here with you, Adam.
Well, I'm Adam Pollard. I am actually the president of the Military Rodeo Cowboys Association. We put on 9 rodeos this year and the 10th rodeo finals.
Yes, sir.
It's growing.
Yes.
You know, the effort is so worth it. Some of my fondest memories, and you heard the fondest memories today. The history that's here goes back to all of our great grandfathers. And further back than that. It's a niche within a niche. The military makes up 3% of our population, and the Cowboys in that make up 0.5%. The guys that were fortunate enough to be able to have a mentor come in and grab them, right? That goes back to we didn't have cars, right? This association is a tribute. It's a patriotic tribute to the men and women who served, but they also came from the same cut of cloth. It's a warrior's mentality with a family heart. And for me, seeing this thing grow and seeing the guys that had no idea now being inducted, and it just. This is the most emotional ceremony I'm ever part of in a year. It always is. Everybody cries because they remember. And it's happy memories. I mean, these guys are my best friends, but they're my brothers too.
Absolutely.
Even the Chair Force and Air Force.
Thank you, Adam.
Surrounded by four Marines.
We had to go. We had to go
We
there.
had to go there.
We welcome all branches, by the way. Real quick, Steve.
Well, no, we're going to jump over to Wayne.
Okay.
I've had my
Sure.
little
Well,
forte.
you know, Adam almost stole my thunder there because I think, you know, obviously we need that exposure out there, but the part about this that is so touching and moving is when we are doing the ceremony. And it's all jovial and happy-go-lucky up to the point where your name gets called and you have to step up and accept that jacket and that buckle.
Yep.
And when we do, you can see the emotions start to play across the face. And then somebody has to step up from that and go to the microphone and give a speech. And you can hear their voice start to crack as they start to tell those old stories about the fun that they had, the years that they spent in the military and rodeoing, and the bonds and the friendships that they developed over those years. And then by the time they get to the end of it, there's some serious eye condensation going on.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that is a part that it makes you feel good that, okay, I've touched somebody there and they've been able to relive something and
Sure.
you know, really have a real bond and feeling with it. And so that, for me, that's the part that says, you know, it doesn't matter how many hours we got to spend doing this event every year or what we have to work on. It's well worth it to bring people in and watch them enjoy it that much.
Absolutely. Steve, we're going to close out with you.
Well, if anybody that's been to a military retirement ceremony,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's a military service member that's retiring, he's like, man, I'm just ready to get out of here. I don't need a ceremony. But it's all about ceremonies for your family.
Sure.
Ceremonies so that way they can say, hey, see that public recognition of what your career did.
Absolutely.
One of the most rewarding pieces that I've seen out of this is a lot of our posthumous inductees that we have done.
Yeah.
You get to see those families come in, and you get to see the pride in their eyes, seeing their family member recognized
Yeah.
to the point where it's like, okay, he's gone, but he's not forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's brotherhood in the military, and it's brotherhood in the American cavalry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Freddie, do you have a closing thought?
I think it impacts the families in that all the old stories of rodeoing and being in the military were actually true.
Yes.
And that by recognizing their family member, I think the board and the hall made a difference in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank each one of you personally for serving, to having the fortitude, the courage, and the insight to make this organization possible. For those of you that are watching, I would like to challenge you to reach inside of not only your prayers, but in your heart, to consider donating and being a part on whatever level. It may just be liking or sharing a post that has been put up on the internet to others, to family and friends, because the stories are tremendous and there's a lot out there. And I think with us all engaging and doing our part, great things can happen. So as you're watching this show, you're going to see the website, and I want to encourage you to go there and become a member and help us. If you're a rodeo committee or have an arena access in your town, let these guys know that you're willing to do something for your country and their organization, and I promise you'll be blessed. I'm Scott Mendes, and we'll see you down the road.